My name is Christopher Key. Me and my partner own a company called S.W.A.T. The name of our company is Sports with Alternative to Steroids. We are the most controversial supplement company in the world. We're the only supplement company in the world that has been officially banned by the National Football League. We've been banned by Major League Baseball. We've been banned by the PGA. We've also been banned by the University of Alabama, University of LSU, and the University of Auburn. Why has all these things happened to us? You have to do some research and realize what we stand for. We stand for allowing athletes to compete without using drugs, without using chemicals, and without using surgery. And because of that, the powers that be have went after us to do everything they can to shut us up and shut us down. How many of you guys have ever heard of the Mitchell Report? Nobody's heard of the Mitchell Report was put together by Congressman Mitchell, where he's identified there was a problem with anabolic steroids in professional sports, and something needed to be done about it. So we put together a program called S.W.A.T to educate the athlete about the problem, about the consequences, and to give them a solution. Okay, it's one thing to educate them, but you have to give them a solution, because these athletes have to be bigger, have to be faster, have to be stronger. And that's where we came up with S.W.A.T. A little background information just to let you know who I am and what I've done. Almost 20 years ago, I brought to market a technology called the BOD-POD, B-O-D-P-O-D. It's the most advanced technology in the world for measuring complete total body composition, measuring body fat. The gold standard used to be hydrostatic water weighing. Anybody familiar with hydrostatic water weighing for testing body fat? And that used to be the gold standard. Now the BOD-POD has surpassed that, and all my professors back at the University of Alabama laughed at me and said there's no way you could ever sell a $35,000 piece of equipment. But it's now the gold standard. Every major university in the world now has a BOD-POD for measuring body fat. We're here in Chicago today, and Rusty Jones, who was the head strength and conditioning coach for the Buffalo Bills, was the first person I sold a BOD-POD to. He's now the strength and conditioning coach for the Chicago Bears. That's where we got started. Right now we have some other technologies that nobody else in the world has, and they're laughing at us, and they're calling us a bunch of crazy kooks. But yet, we have the clinical studies, we have the double-blind placebo studies to prove that this technology is real. Okay? Hugh Jackson was the Oakland Raiders head football coach, and when he was given his job January of last year, before that he had told us as soon as he got his first head coaching job, he would take us to the next level to help educate these athletes about what we were doing. 2 weeks after he got his head coaching job, he was given a letter by the NFL that told him that he had to disassociate from us or he would lose his job. Okay? That was then preceded by 30 other NFL ball players from Ray Lewis to Jamal Lewis. All these guys were given letters by the NFL that said they had to disassociate from us or they would be suspended from the NFL. Okay? 4 months later, Major League Baseball came out. Gave all our athletes letters saying if they did not disassociate from us, they would be suspended from Major League Baseball. A month after that, golf. How many of y'all follow golf? Anybody follow golf at all? Well, Fred Funk, Fuzzy Zoeller, Andy Bean, Mark Calcavecchia, all these athletes were all given letters by the PGA saying they had to disassociate or they would be suspended from the PGA. Why is this? Why are all these athletes from these major corporations, these major professional sports teams being given letters to disassociate? Yeah, our thoughts are is because what we stand for. We thought the government, we thought the organizations wanted a solution to the problem. We gave it to them. We proved it with medical science. But yet they went after us to shut us up and shut us down. Why is that happening? My belief, if you study history, you'll see that they've used these athletes, I believe, to control the masses. Okay? When these athletes say, go do this, go take this, you see all these advertisements that have these athletes saying, go do these certain things. The good sheep do what? They listen. They listen. When we got these athletes like Ray Lewis, Johnny Damien, Fred Funk, Fuzzy Zoeller, Mark Calcavecchia, to speak out and say, utilize these technologies, the people start listening. When the people start listening and they quit taking the Lortab, they quit taking the Oxycontin, that they quit going and having surgery and whatnot for a rotator cuff that possibly could heal itself if you give it what it needs. That's my belief of why they went after us as hard as they can to shut us up and shut us down. It's been a very interesting ride. I'm from Alabama, okay? Does anybody know where the last 3 national championships in football came from?
Tuscaloosa.
2 of them came from Tuscaloosa. 1 of them came from Auburn, okay? Let me give you a little bit of background information, and then we'll go in and I'll explain the science. I want you to kind of get the whole story, okay? I'm a graduate from Alabama. That's where I did my undergrad and graduate work. The first work I did was regarding the bipod. My professors, I told you, laughed at me. They said I was crazy. So 4 years ago, I went back to my professor and said, look, we've got this new technology. It doesn't make sense, okay? It doesn't make sense. But my professors always taught me, if you didn't understand something, if it didn't make sense, let's bring it back to the lab. And let's do double-blind placebo studies, and let's prove whether it's real or not. So we did that. And 4 years ago, they did the double-blind placebo studies at the University of Alabama. And they couldn't believe it. They said, Christopher, this makes no logical sense with what we've been taught. And I said, there you go. What you've been taught is only what they want you to know. You only know what you've been taught, okay? And from there, we gave this technology to the University of Alabama. They went 13-0, won the national championship. Okay, everybody say that's coincidental. That's you know, 1 in a million. Okay, but 2 years prior to that, I was at the University of Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii was 1-11, had the worst college record in football. Okay, the very next year they were 12-0, single largest turnaround ever in NCAA history. We were a part of that. Okay, the year after that, SMU. It was 3 years after that. SMU, they were 1-11. The very next year, utilizing this technology, they went 9-5. It was the second largest turnaround in NCAA history. Okay? At the University of Alabama, we had some issues with Coach Cochran, Coach Saban. So we took it away from them. I have twins, and my son's an Alabama fan, and my daughter's an Auburn fan, which is very interesting. And my daughter came to me that summer after Alabama won the national championship and said, Daddy, that's not fair. She said, you can't help Alabama and not help Auburn. And I said, well, sweetheart, Daddy will do everything he can to help Auburn this year. Okay? So, really cool story. I was in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, talking to the Muscle Shoals head football coach. And I'm telling the story of what happened in Hawaii, what had happened in SMU, and what had just happened in Alabama. And afterwards, he tapped me on the shoulder and says, Mr. Key, is this real? Did y'all really do this? I said, look, I know it's crazy, but it really is real. He said, well, I want to take this to the University of Auburn. I said, really? I said, you have no idea. My daughter wants me to take it to Auburn. He says, well, I can get that taken care of for you. I'm like, okay, who are you? He said, my name's Chester McKinney. He said, the Auburn weight room was just named after me. I said, okay, well, maybe you can help me get this to the University of Auburn. So he put together a meeting with Dr. Fred Camp, who's the medical director at Auburn University, Dr. Goodlett, who's the team doctor at Auburn University, and Dr. Pascoe, who was head of the kinesiology department at Auburn. I went down, presented this technology to them, and they're like, this makes no sense. This makes no logical sense to us. But Dr. Camp, being of Eastern descent, right? We're Western, right? Eastern descent. He was familiar with the other side of medicine, okay? And he said, look, what does it hurt? What does it hurt to try this technology on some of our athletes? So the cool thing is they had a ball player named Zach Etheridge. Okay, Zach Etheridge had broken his neck the year before during the Ole Miss football game. He was never supposed to play football again. Okay? They said he may never walk again. They allowed us to come in, and I was able to put those 2 chips I just handed to every one of you guys. I was able to put 2 chips on both sides of his neck. And immediately, we gave him 40% more range of motion, instantaneously. The doctors looked at me like, what the heck is this? They then got it cleared so I could come into the medical center at Auburn University. Okay, and we brought in our light, called the beam ray, which we'll talk about that towards the end. We brought the light into the Auburn University Medical Center, and within 90 days, Zach Etheridge was completely, totally healed. completely, totally, 100% healed. He was the team captain of the Auburn football team. He played all 13 games. We then met with the entire Auburn football program, showed them this technology. They went on to win the national championship. Everybody said, yeah, that's two really lucky things. It's like, okay, it is. And again, our technology does not make these teams win these national championships. It doesn't make them win all these ball games, but it gives them a competitive advantage. Okay, if any of you guys know anything about athletics, at this level, there's not a whole lot that separates Team A from Team B. And when your athlete has more energy, more balance, more focus, less pain, 9 times out of 10, they win more games. Okay? Last part of the story, we then took the technology to the University of LSU. Everything I'm telling you guys about will be published in Sports Illustrated back in September or October this year. They've got all the evidence. Everything I do, I take video tape of all this. I've got all the text messages. I've got all the evidence to back all this up. We've been the front page of Yahoo Sports 5 out of the last 12 months because these guys couldn't believe this. They're like, there's no way you guys have been part of all this. So we took it to the University of LSU. They utilized the technology. They beat the University of Alabama. If anybody knows anything, they went in 9-6, beat Alabama. We had put out there about what was going to happen. They were going to shut the defense down. I mean, the defense was going to shut the offense down. They were going to hold Trent Richardson to under 100 yards, and the defense would be the deciding factor, and they were. Coach Moffitt, who was a strength coach at LSU, found out that the players were utilizing the technology. Told them they couldn't use it because there were some issues with him and Coach Cochran and I. Coach Cochran, who was the Alabama strength coach, was taught under Coach Moffitt. And when he found out his players were using what Coach Cochran wouldn't allow them to do, he took it away from them. And if you go back and study athletics and football, they played the national championship game, the SEC championship game, and at halftime, the score was 7-6. They did not have a first down. We were able to get in touch with the ball players. They administered the technology. They went back out and won, I think, 48-7. Okay? So then Coach Moffitt told the ball players that they would fail a drug test if they utilized the technology. Scared all the ball players to death. These ball players want to play in the national championship game. They were fixing to play at the University of Alabama. Told them they would fail a drug test, and he had special equipment that he could test, and he would know whether or not they were using the technology. So none of the LSU players would utilize it. So we were able to go back to the University of Alabama. We were able to show them all the videos of us meeting with the LSU players before they played them that game before. And these are young kids that want to win a national championship. And when we showed this to them, they're like, I don't care what Coach Cochran says. I don't care what Coach Saban says. We want to win a national championship. So for 2 weeks, we were able to work with them with the beam ray, with the frequencies, with the light, with all the stuff we do. And did anybody watch the national championship game this past year? Alabama had lost to LSU 9-6 earlier in the season. Okay, both teams were 1-2. And then they got a rematch with the same team. The first time LSU was using the technology. The second time Alabama was using the technology. The final score was 28-0. People couldn't believe how Alabama went out and just blew them off the face of the field. It was beyond crazy. But again, it was real. Okay? I'm going to use this young man right now to come up, and I want to show him part of the technology to help you guys understand what we're doing. And we deal with a lot of different technologies. Can I see your cell phone? Everybody's seen these little bands that everybody has. Everybody's seen the little bands a lot of people wear right now. We were the company that first put these out. And what it was initially was a chip where you would put it on each side of your wrist. Okay? And then it became so popular, all these other companies try to copy us and they put it into a band. Okay? What we're doing here is I can take this cell phone of this young man and I can put behind him and I can call anywhere in the world. Okay? I can put it below him and call anywhere in the world. That frequency goes right through his body. You don't see